Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Ghost here, and today I am bringing you guys a comparison video between the AUG and AMAX. Now, I wanted to make this video because it only seemed fair after making the M16 and AMAX one, and also because a lot of people like to consider the AUG the better burst weapon. Now, personally, I don't really see that. I'll get to that in a second, but you know, I don't really consider the AUG to be the best burst weapon, but a lot of people do. So I was like, why not make this video? Because it could potentially be also the next meta. You know, like, again, it's just kind of crazy because the landscape that we're in, pretty much any other gun that's pretty good could be considered meta. Anyways, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We are, I guess, on the road to 2K, and you know, if you hit that sub button, it help a brother out. Also, if I sound a little weird, or you know, sniffle or cough or clear my throat, that's just because I'm sick. But you know, I gotta pump out this content regardless. Can't let this sickness take me out. But yeah. With that being said, let's get into this comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for the AUG, which in hindsight it looks like it has no recoil, but when you put on all the attachments, this gun is just, it kicks a lot. And I know there could be combinations out there that makes it so it doesn't have that much kick, but for me, I just couldn't find it. I tried multiple class setups, trust me, I didn't just stick to the one I showed you. And I just couldn't figure it out. I don't know, like, this weapon just, it's just, for me, is plagued by recoil, and I couldn't really get into a groove with it. The M16 for me was like a no recoil type thing, and it was really consistent. But with the AUG, for me, it felt just inconsistent. Even though it shoots faster, and I don't know if it has more damage, but you know, there is instances like you guys saw right there where I could 2-burst somebody or 3-burst somebody from those ranges, but it just wasn't as consistent as the M16. And you know, I know this isn't a comparison between the AUG and M16, but let me just, like, I don't know, for me, this is why I don't see how the AUG was better. And now in terms of the AMAX, you know, this gun is still good. You know, it's a burst weapon. It has the ability to 2-3 burst somebody, and again, it shoots fast. And to be fair, this recoil is a lot more controllable than the AMAX one, because you're not holding down the shoot button, you're just simply tapping it, and it's just a burst over time, and you know, it's not gonna make it so you have this crazy amount of recoil as opposed to like an AMAX where when you're spraying, that thing starts kicking, and you kind of have to, like, you know, have a battle with it to control the recoil. That's not really the case for the AUG. If you shoot really fast though, like if you're constantly tapping, the recoil gets a little weird. But I think with the right barrel, you might be able to get away with it. Again, I don't really know what the perfect barrel is. I was using the last barrel, but I don't know. I think the strike team one might be the best. Some people say something about that. The titanium, maybe. Or maybe, since you guys saw in the recoil right there, the recoil pattern, that didn't have a barrel, so I don't know, maybe no barrel might be the best. To be honest with you, like, I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying, that just really all comes to personal preference, and personal experimentation, which I didn't really have the time or chance to. You know, I just feel like the AUG is a hit or miss weapon, you know, like, I don't think it's gonna be for everybody. Not like the M16 or AMAX. Or actually, no. I guess in a way, that's how the AMAX and AUG are very similar to each other, because, you know, I consider the AMAX a hit or miss weapon as well. And I think the AUG is the same way. Like, I don't feel like everyone who picks it up is going to like it. It's not necessarily, like, the easiest gun to use. And it's just not, like, noob friendly, I guess. Like, the AMAX and AUG are both not noob friendly, but they do pack a punch. And using the right hands, it could be a monster. Unfortunately for me, the AUG, you know, wasn't in the right hands. I gotta admit, like, this is one of those weapons that I just really couldn't vibe with. It's not that I couldn't control the recoil, but it just felt really weird. It felt like it let me down too much. And you know, normally when I do this comparison videos, I don't really talk bad about the weapon because I usually have a pretty positive experience with it, and you know, I feel like it's usable for me. But for me personally, the AUG, I'm not saying that it's not usable or that it's not a good weapon, but for me, just for me personally, I just don't see myself being able to run the AUG over an M16 or even AMAX. And I know a lot of people like always asking me when these comparisons what my personal preferences. And then, you know, I'm not going to get into it yet, but I just will say that the AMAX in hindsight right now is literally like the gun that I'm picking over the AUG. But with that being said, let's get into the AMAX. And here we have the AMAX recoil pattern, which, you know, as you can see, has a lot of it. And even when we put attachments on it, it's kind of difficult to control. And again, like I mentioned earlier, this is one of those weapons that is truly hit or miss. I mean, you're either going to like this gun or you're just going to be like, nah, it's just not for me. And I guess that's what makes both the AUG and AMAX, like, down to earth. They don't make it that overpowered. because it's not for everybody. It's not like a growl or a kilo or a DMR where anyone can pick it up and they become godly. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I think the AUG isn't bad. And truly, if you're able to master that weapon, you're gonna be a monster, because that thing it has the capabilities of being godly. It's just you gotta be able to tame it. It's like a beast that you gotta tame. Same with the AMAX. They're both beasts that you gotta tame. But one thing I will say about the AMAX that it definitely has over the AUG is something that I like to talk about very often when it comes to the AMAX, and that's the fact that I never feel like I get punished when using the AMAX. And what I mean by that is, since it has a lot of recoil, it tends to be difficult to hit targets at different ranges, but with its damage, it more than makes up for it. And so if I miss a lot of shots, I'll be good, because the damage on it will make up for it, and I'll be able to get that kill. The AUG doesn't feel that way though. Like, I could sit here and pretty much put a few bursts into the target and they won't be dead. And that is super annoying. And it's happened to me a few times when I was playing with the AUG, where I feel like I should have gotten the kill, or any other weapon like the AMAX or even M16 would have gotten the kill. And I see here 3-4 burst somebody and they're still running. Like, I'm what? Like, how is that even possible? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm gonna get this guy, down him, and we're good. But they just get away with their life, and it's confusing, because it's like, I just put all these bullets into you, but you're not dead. So, and sometimes, I feel like I'm capable of 2 bursts on somebody or 3 bursts on somebody. Like, it's just inconsistent, very inconsistent. As opposed to like AMAX or M16, they feel a lot more consistent with the time to kill, or however many bullets I need to kill somebody. It happens very often. Like for the M16, right? I'm 2-3 bursts on people more often than not, and I get the occasional 3-4 bursts, 5 bursts even. The occasional sponge that I gotta go through, but that AUG, I feel like it's every other gunfight. Like, I feel like it's rarer to get the 2-3 bursts, at least for me, than it is to get the 3-4 or 5 bursts. Obviously though, that for you, what I'm saying, you could be the guy that's literally one bursting people, and you're just like, oh, what is this guy talking about? This guy's full, like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But like, I don't know, man. Just for me, my personal experience, the AUG just never, hasn't really treated me right. The first time I picked it up though, back when the DMR got nerfed, right? I remember picking it up and I was like, yo, this thing could be literally meta. And I made a video on it, like after the DMR nerf, and I was like, yo, this thing is pretty nasty. But then I remember picking it up like a few days later, and I'm like, yo, this gun is just ain't for me. Like, I don't know, like, the recoil was weird. I couldn't really control it, because I don't know, it's kind of weird trying to control recoil on the burst, like, because when you're like, you just keep shooting, like with the AMAX, it's easier to control with the AMAX, because you don't have to time your shots with that. Like, the AUG is burst, right? And so it resets every time you shoot. Like, it resets the recoil every time you shoot. So you shoot, stop, and it's difficult to control that. But if you're like spraying somebody, it's more easier, because you don't have to stop shooting. You just start going down, and it just follows, or you put your analog down, and it just starts following down, and the recoil is a little bit more controllable. But with the AUG, it's like, it's gonna do the initial burst, then you gotta do it again. Like, you'll never have really enough time to control the recoil unless you're kind of like spacing your burst, and that's just not how you use a burst weapon. If you space your burst out too much, you're not gonna get kills, and you're gonna die. Especially if you're in a gunfight. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you run up on somebody and they're shooting at you and you're shooting back at them, but you're taking time between bursts, you're gonna die. I guess that's one of the disadvantages the burst weapons have. But with this gun, since it's high fire rate, you're able to put out a lot more bullets than the M16, or I think even the AMAX. I think the AUG might have a faster fire rate than the AMAX, and if not, since it's a burst weapon, I think it just still has the ability to outgun the AMAX at certain ranges. Like long ranges, hell no, like, it's not gonna happen, because the AMAX just has the ability to, I think, outgun the AUG, and the AUG doesn't really have the ability to hit at really long ranges. Same with all Cold War weapons, or ARs, or rifles, or whatever. But I mean, that is a disadvantage as well, having fast bursts, because the recoil is just not controllable. Or for me, it's not controllable. I mean, it kind of is, but like, it's just weird, And then half the time, like, your burst, like maybe 1 or 2 bullets are hitting, not the full burst is hitting somebody. It's just whack, man. I don't know. It just feels weird. Like, the AUG just feels so weird in my hands. And I know a lot of you guys like it, man. Like, don't get me wrong. I acknowledge the fact that this AUG is popular. People love it, but for me, man, it's it's not it, man. It's just not it for me. I'll stick to M16. And in terms of the AMAX, it can compete with the AMAX. It can. I'll give it that, especially in the right hands. But for me, AMAX all the way, man. In this situation, AMAX all the way. I don't mean to hate on the AUG, because I know a lot of you guys are going to have good experiences with it. So with that being said, man, let me know what your personal experience with the AUG is and why or why not you like it. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. See you guys later, and I'm out. Peace.